Why? Oh, okay, no, the call ran power. Right, so yeah, I had just stop it. Right, okay, good. Thanks. Yeah, I clean forget recording there. So yeah, make sure you understand the steps in SSH. And again, let me know if you don't understand any steps, or if you're not getting through with a SSH. And then lastly, we discuss FTP and TFTP configs. Of course, we currently configure that on our side because routers aren't FTP servers. They are only FTP clients. And Cisco wanted to learn how to configure a FTP server. Right, so that was services. Everything there is a service that helps the basic networking part of networks, which is forwarding packets. So that's why we went through, we just kind of fly through a bunch of different services because we just have so many, and these are all 10% services. So we're going to move from services now, and we're going to go into security fundamentals. So we're going to, start some security discussions. Of course, it's just one section, and the other courses, well, the other certs that you could do at CFSI will obviously be a lot deeper in this. So I'm sorry to anybody who knows more security than I do. This will just be the networking side of security. So it'll be what a network engineer needs to know in the security world, which is what I know from my day-to-day work about VPNs and ACLs and those kind of stuff. It's not deep security and white hat hackers and all of those things. It's just the networking side of security. But it's a nice introduction. So that's what we're going to do today. For the rest of this class, we're going to do 5.1 and 5.2, just discussing security concepts and security program elements. Very theoretical stuff. Right, so that's the context we reach right now. Recording, right, so recording good, mic good, video good, right, should be good there. Whenever this decides to load. Right, let me know if you all are seeing the slider. I just went back full screen. Right, so 5.1, defining key security concepts. Throughout this course, we have mentioned security as it relates to one isolated concept or the other. We will now put the spotlight on security in our network and begin our discussions from the ground up. To do this, we must first become acquainted with the terminology used by security experts. You may have heard the words such as threats, vulnerabilities, exploits, and mitigation techniques thrown about before. So I'm sure you hear all these words thrown about, with Facebook and Google and all these people thrown about, which is probably how you end up at CFSI. You'll hear these words thrown about a lot. So we're going to actually define each of these now, and we're going to tell you what they mean. We'll now define and differentiate between these concepts by explaining security, by explaining exactly what each of them mean. A security vulnerability refers to anything that can be considered a weakness in a system, which thereby leaves the system open to possible attacks. A security exploit refers to a tool or method developed to take advantage of these vulnerabilities in a particular system in order to compromise some part of the system. So the vulnerability is the weakness, something in our code or something in our infrastructure that is open to possible attacks. So we'll give some examples after, and you'll see what we're talking about. So the vulnerability is the weakness, and then the exploit is a tool or a method that takes advantage of this vulnerability. And the whole purpose of that is to compromise some part of the system. A security threat refers to the possibility of or danger that an attacker could leverage an exploit to take advantage of a vulnerability in a system to cause harm to the system or owner in some way. And then lastly, security mitigation techniques refer to the methods or safeguards that admins or engineers can take to counteract or prevent malicious activity directed at systems under their administrative domain. So we went through, we started off with the weakness, then the exploit is the tool that can take advantage of those weaknesses, and then the threat is the possibility or the danger that an attacker could use that tool and take advantage of the weakness, and then the mitigation technique is the method that an admin or engineer could take to prevent that malicious activity directed at their own systems. Yeah, so I hope you understand that build-up of definitions there. So to illustrate this, consider, for example, that an engineer who didn't pass through CFSI, of course, because none of you all will do this, I hope, An engineer inadvertently configured his routers with telnet access. As we know, telnet sends passwords in plain text format, so you could immediately identify the problem there, right? This behavior of telnet is thus now a vulnerability in the security of the network. It is possible that someone who has access to the network can obtain the credentials to the router and thus cause service interruptions. This represents a threat to the network. A threat actor can now utilize an exploit tool such as Wireshark. In this case, we have a bunch of exploit tools like Metasploit and all of these things. Shiva will know better. But in this case, Wireshark is fine. Wireshark will show you the password. And they could use that tool and sniff the traffic on the network, thus obtaining the credentials for the routers. One possible mitigation technique in this situation would be to change the credentials and utilize SSH for all future sessions. So that's how us as admins or engineers could prevent these attackers or these threat actors from exploiting these weaknesses, right? We just reduce the attack surface altogether. We encrypt our communication. So even if they use the exploit tool now, which is Wireshark, they can't see the credentials, right? So I hope you see how it's all tying together there. So this is the visualization of it. This guy logging into his router, and he is watching the packet. He sees telnet router 5, and he can just pull up Wireshark and see username squiggy, password, whatever it is, and then enable password, whatever it is, and everything is in plain text. As I had showed you in Wireshark, you could just see the ASCII version or the plain text version of everything they type in. And in telnet, that is not encrypted at all. So that's why this guy is saying got it here. He get those credentials and he could go and log into this router now. We'll briefly mention some other common threats. Address spoofing, which is where attackers mimic the MAC or IP addresses of valid or trusted hosts on the network. We have denial of service attacks, where an infrastructure device is unable to serve its valid clients because its resources are being overwhelmed by malicious requests. We have man-in-the-middle attacks, where a malicious actor intercepts traffic flows in order to inspect and or tamper with traffic. And then we have social engineering, where threat actors take advantage of unknowing staff or just unknowing citizens or people on the whole to obtain access to a network. Now that we understand some of the key concepts involved in security, let's learn about some of the ways that we can mitigate these threats. Wait, actually, before we move on, you all have a decent idea of these types of attacks. You've heard about social engineering before. Sure, you'll hear people say, hey, don't give out your personal identification number, not say PIN, like any personal ID over the phone. Don't take pictures of your credit card. If people asking you weird personal questions, don't answer. Those kind of things for social engineering. Man-in-the-middle attacks is like a Wireshark, if you're just watching the traffic. Or you could tamper with it in certain cases. Denial of service attack or DOS attacks or DDoS attacks. You always hear about these. It's basically a bunch of people overwhelming your server or overwhelming your router and flooding it with a bunch of malicious traffic, so that people who genuinely trying to use that server can't use it because the resources just being depleted by these malicious attacks. And then address spoofing is just my IP address is supposed to be 192.168.1.1, but your IP address is 192.168.1.10, and I want the traffic that you get because your credit card address might be in there. So I'm going to pretend that I am 192.168.1.10, right? So you pretend to be somebody else on the network. You mimic the MAC address or the IP address of those valid hosts on the network. So these are just common examples. If you want to read up more, and you'll see actual times when people do this, because these are actually real attacks. People do this all the time. So now that we understand some of the key concepts involved in security, let's learn about some of the ways that we can mitigate these threats. As much as some of us may like to be, we are unfortunately not superheroes. We cannot single-handedly safeguard our network, devices, and services from the myriad of threats that exist out there. The best way for us to protect our infrastructure from these threats is to develop a comprehensive security program that aims to both safeguard devices and educate end users. So it's not enough to go and say, I have SSH on my device, I firewall off my public IPs, I don't let anybody near the data center, I know exactly what configs I have on my devices, and I use FTPS to secure it. or whatever else technical security program you followed. A comprehensive security program aims to both safeguard your devices and educate your end users, because people could represent a significant threat to your network, the normal people who use your network every day. So although you may be aware enough to not click on a suspicious link, pop-ups, not click on suspicious links, pop-ups, and emails, remember that not every staff member in your enterprise is tech-savvy. Your threat actors know this fact as well, and given the opportunity, they would choose to leverage this vulnerability to exploit your security. A key aspect of any security program thus has to be improving user awareness in your enterprise. So the people who are looking to exploit your network in some way, they know that you are in the IT team or you're in the networking team, and you went through CFSI, and you know not to give out your any of your social details, or your credit card info, or any passwords or anything. But the person in a non-technical role, like a marketing or a sales, or all of these people who don't do the CCNA courses and don't do security courses, they don't know not to give out this info. They might just be happy to chat and be happy to talk to people about their company and about their job. So your job now is to teach these people to develop a comprehensive security program to improve their awareness of your enterprise. Yeah? So all staff members in the enterprise should be constantly reminded of the critical role that they play in protecting the data and systems that they have been granted access to for the purposes of their job. This is a difficult process as it encompasses a variety of topics, from upholding a clean desk policy to not holding protected doors open for other staff members to not including sensitive information in emails. The list is ever expanding. Thus, the process has to be continuously revised and revisited. So I'm sure you all have seen the common things, like people will say, hey, where's that password? Just send me a message or send me an email. And they don't know if that message or that email will be encrypted over the network. Or they might just say, hey, this password is real complicated. Let me write it down and pass sticky note next to the monitor to remember. Or they might be nice in the morning and they will say, when they come in, they will swipe in and they will open the door for 5 people behind them. And they may not know those 5 people very well. They may, but some people will slip in. Or when they leave in the evening, they could leave their book of passwords or some other sensitive information on their desk, and then maybe the cleaner will have access to it. So it's all these things we need to tell them, hey, you shouldn't do this because of this, and then hopefully they will pay more attention to it, and they will be more aware of ways in which this security of all of your data and all of your systems could be compromised. So as part of developing this high level of user awareness, enterprises are thus responsible for developing and maintaining constant security training sessions for all staff members. This training would involve highlighting certain aspects of the user awareness we just spoke about, as well as other recent exploits that they may need to be aware of. These training sessions also provide a platform for staff members to ask questions that they may have, or for security experts to provide tips based on behaviors they have noticed. So hopefully in most of the enterprises you all end up, or you all are in currently, they have some sort of security awareness training. So I can tell you in Digicel, they have like a central portal and it's always there, and it's basically click here and we will teach you something about security. So they'll have like videos and presentations and saying, you should not open the door to people. You should look for any strangers on the compound, people who you don't recognize, or people who don't have a valid Digicel tag. You shouldn't leave your passwords out on your desk. You should always have your desk clean. You should lock your laptop before you leave. That's a common one. People could go onto your laptop and pull up whatever emails they want while you go to the restroom or go to the kitchen. Lock your laptops. And these sessions need to be constantly expanding and easily available for staff, because we could not be doing something now that we should be. I don't know, for example, if you have a webcam on your laptop, maybe you should be blocking that webcam at all times when you're not using it. These kind of things that might be company specific, you want to always be revising and telling your staff, we just learned this exploit last week, and we want you all to do this to prevent the exploit from taking place here. Of course, social engineering provides only one part of the total attack surface of a network. Many exploits can be executed as soon as a malicious actor obtains physical access to any infrastructure device. As such, we still need to ensure that a variety of physical security systems are installed in our enterprises and data centers. Systems such as biometrics, man traps, security guards, camera systems, cabinet and cage locks, and auditing trails are essential. So even if your staff fully trained, somebody could still break in and just take up your router and carry it away, right? Or just take up the server and carry it away. So you need all of these physical mechanisms or physical security systems to safeguard the equipment. So biometrics, a fingerprint reader, or iris detector, a man trap to make sure that anybody coming in needs to be closed. You need to have closed doors on both sides, and you have the opportunity to question them or examine their credentials or keep them in there if you're not satisfied with anything, and then let them out only if that back door is closed. You have security guards watching over your super expensive equipment. You have camera systems always recording what's going on. So if anybody coming with a console cable, you had them on the camera system coming in with the console cable, and you could identify them. Cabinets and cage locks, so not anybody could just open up a cabinet and pull out a firewire if they want. And then auditing trails, of course. Right, so there's just some examples. This is a man trap here. So this door here, to come out, won't open until this door is closed. So you need to open this door and then close it back, and then open this door and then come out. So if when you open this door, the security guard say, hey, I don't know that person, they could keep this door locked and say, hey, you're not allowed in there. Or just as an example, they can't like prop open this door and then open this door and just flood in, a whole troop of people to come on and steal your equipment. And then of course you have biometrics to get into important rooms. These systems should be constantly tested and maintained. Users should also be taught how to properly use these access control systems, and these systems also need to be updated regularly as employees frequently leave or join organizations. And that's it. So I hope you all know at least a bit more about the key security concepts. So when you hear threats and vulnerabilities and exploits and mitigation techniques, you can relate it to IDEA and you know what we're talking about. And then the key security program elements, which is everything from user awareness to training to physical access control. We discussed all of those things. So next class, we'll go on to some more security stuff, local passwords for device access, and then password policies, and then VPNs, and all these nice things. Any questions for anything we discussed today? Okay, well, if we have no questions, then all we have to do is lab 17 today, which is, what is lab 17? Oh, ACLs, yeah. So standard ACLs. And then from next week, I'm thinking we'll start some of the bonus courses. I'll need to plan it out. Some of the bonus courses very lightweight, so we could probably do that after the lecture. Right, so let me stop the recording.